10-year-old Anshul threw off her school uniform to dry off her sweat. Just then, the door opened, and her uncle was standing there. Anshul felt so ashamed she wished she could sink into the ground. He started to touch her. Today, we are presenting a heart-wrenching and profoundly inspiring story. This is the story of a girl who endured sexual abuse in her childhood and was later cast out by her husband with no children and no money. Today, we know this girl as Advocate Anshul Aurora. Her life journey has deeply impacted us, and we felt it was essential to share it with you. This story teaches us how, despite adverse circumstances, one can achieve success through courage and determination. Anshul spent her childhood at her aunt's house because her aunt, who was childless, had adopted her. However, that didn't happen, and this became the beginning of Anshul's suffering. Although her aunt loved her very much, her uncle saw Anshul's presence as a threat. He feared that his wife might end up leaving all her wealth to Anshul. This sense of insecurity drove her uncle to mistreat Anshul. He always treated her with disdain. At that time, Anshul was barely 10 years old. She had returned from school on a hot, humid day, drenched in sweat. She went to her room, threw down her bag, turned on the air conditioner, locked the room from inside, threw off her school uniform, and started drying her sweat. After a while, she felt a presence at the door of her room. She stopped humming and wondered who it could be. Her aunt was at the office, and the maid had left long ago. Then the door opened, and her uncle stood there. He had used a duplicate key to unlock the door and entered. Anshul was so ashamed she wished she could sink into the ground. Seeing her in this state, her uncle's behavior changed entirely. He started touching her slowly. Anshul felt terrible, scared, and helpless. She remained silent throughout the evening, not eating her lunch and staying locked in her room. When her aunt returned from work, she told her about the incident. Her aunt dismissed it, saying, "It's normal, don't worry." This response was shocking. Her aunt's reaction was deeply painful for Anshul. She internalized the idea that perhaps no one would understand her suffering and that she would have to endure it. From the beginning, Anshul felt as if her uncle was unhappy with her presence. He seemed to dislike her, never appreciating her presence, and always trying to keep her at a distance. Even though Anshul was just a child, she understood who looked at her with affection and who was merely pretending. Children may not always distinguish between good and bad, but they do sense acceptance and rejection. For instance, when I was young, would do personal tasks for my teacher, like cleaning her desk or filling her water bottle, to gain her approval and praise. Though teachers have no right to make students do personal work, the desire for approval might have led Anshul to let her uncle touch her for the first time and not make a fuss. When he touched her, he would talk sweetly and smile. Children need acceptance from everyone. A 9 or 10-year-old child is too young to understand the feelings of someone touching them, especially if it is a family member. Even if they sense something wrong, opposing it is extremely difficult for a child. As time went by, Anshul's mental suffering increased. It felt like her heart and mind were eroding. Her interest in studies and school waned, and she felt like a living corpse, enduring her uncle's disgusting touches. This experience was so filthy that she began to feel ashamed of herself. She felt like she was a living dead. Days passed, and Anshul gathered the courage to tell her mother about everything. Her mother promised to take action, but unfortunately, months went by without her mother taking any action. It is important to mention that Anshul's mother was mentally ill and had a very poor memory. Anshul was unaware of her mother's condition and hoped that one day her mother would come and rescue her from this hell. When her mother did not come, Anshul thought that if her own mother and aunt, being women, did not understand her plight, then who else would? In despair, she wrapped herself in silence and surrendered to her fate. Time flowed like water, and Anshul reached the 12th grade. She would go to her friend Shabana's house to prepare for exams. Shabana's elder brother worked in Dubai. One evening, when Anshul visited Shabana, she was introduced to Shabana's brother, Aftab. Aftab was as beautiful as his name. He gifted Anshul perfume he had brought from Dubai. Anshul was also quite beautiful. They fell in love with each other at first sight, but it took months for them to express their feelings. Even as Aftab's 2-month vacation was nearing its end, they had not yet confessed their love. Eventually, Aftab confessed his love to Anshul. She needed a shoulder to cry on and wanted to leave the hellish house with her uncle and aunt. Aftab seemed perfect. He was good-looking, earned well, and lived in Dubai. The only issue was that he was Muslim. However, Anshul did not care about religion. The only concern was whether her family would accept the match and if Aftab's family would as well. Aftab extended his vacation by 15 days. During these days, they met every day and enjoyed each other's company. Anshul felt like she was flying in the sky. They talked on the phone all night. It seemed like spring had arrived in her life. She gained tremendous courage. When her uncle tried to touch her again, she gave him a warning and embarrassed him thoroughly. Her uncle, experienced as he was, had already suspected something was amiss. Anshu's changed demeanor confirmed his suspicions. As Aftab's vacation was ending, he urged Anshu to focus on her exam preparation and promised to return soon. Anshu passed her 12th grade with decent marks. Aftab and Anshu continued to talk regularly over the phone. Aftab told Anshu to prepare for marriage. Anshu informed him that she had 3 more months to reach adulthood. 3 months later, Aftab came to India, discussed Anshu with his family, but they opposed the marriage. Likewise, Anshu's family also refused. Faced with no other option, they defied their family's wishes, married in court, and moved to Dubai. Anshu felt like she had entered paradise. After spending her childhood in fear in India, she had been blessed with a loving husband who adored her. Time flew by, and before they knew it, 6 years had passed in happiness. 3 years into their marriage, Anshu and Aftab had a daughter. They were overjoyed by the arrival of their daughter, as if a goddess had come into their home. They were both ecstatic and decided to name their daughter Tab from Aftab and Ansh from Anshu, to avoid any religious issues. Aftab was as secular as Anshu. He never stopped her from worshipping. When Anshu set up a temple at home, he had no objections. They both prayed in the mosque or at home. One day, Anshu asked Aftab what he recited during prayers. He explained that, just as Hindus praise their deities during worship, Muslims praise Allah in their prayers, acknowledging him as the creator and sustainer of the universe. Aftab learned about Anshu's religion from her, and Anshu learned about his religion from him. This exchange led Anshu to conclude that the fundamental principles of both religions were similar, with only different names and methods of worship. Anshu met many Indians in Dubai who respected both religions equally. Time continued to pass, and 6 happy years flew by. Now, 7 years into Anshu and Aftab's marriage, Anshu was expecting again and was in her 8th month. One day, she went shopping at the mall with Tabanish, as she needed items for the newborn. Unexpectedly, she ran into an old school friend, Priya. Seeing each other made both of them very happy. Anshu felt as if she had found her sister. Priya revealed that she worked as a manager at a jewelry shop on Al Fahidi Road in Dubai, which was quite close to their home. They spent the entire evening talking and catching up. Priya started visiting Anshu's home every week on Fridays. Due to her friendly nature, she became quite close to Aftab as well. As Anshu's delivery approached, she struggled to care for Tabanish properly. Priya offered to stay with Anshu until the delivery to help her out. Priya moved in with them, and Anshu got used to her presence. Priya not only helped but also kept Anshu company. Anshu suggested to Aftab that they could keep Priya with them permanently, as her showroom was nearby, and Aftab could drop her off. This arrangement would also save on the heavy rent for Priya's apartment. Aftab agreed immediately, and Priya had no objections. Thus, Priya continued living with them. When Anshu's son turned 1 year old, she received the news from India that her mother had passed away. Aftab quickly arranged her ticket, and Anshu traveled to India with her children. Upon reaching, she informed Aftab that she had arrived safely. However, when she tried to call him 2 or 3 days later, neither he nor Priya answered. For 2 days, neither of them took her calls. During this time, Anshu tried to find out the reason. When she finally connected with Aftab, he told her that Priya had left for India and would return soon. Aftab said he had tried to call Anshu multiple times, but her phone was switched off. He also mentioned that Priya had to handle some personal matters in India. Anshu had no choice but to accept it, as Aftab was always busy with work and had limited time to discuss such matters. When Anshu returned to Dubai after a month, she discovered that Priya and Aftab were living together as husband and wife in her house. Her entire world fell apart. She didn't know what to do or whom to trust. She was shattered and left with no one to help her. Her entire life felt meaningless. This betrayal was the most painful of all. Despite being with Aftab for 7 years, he had chosen Priya over her. Anshu was broken but had to face reality. She decided to return to her hometown, but she was concerned about how to manage things. Priya, whom she had trusted, had made everything difficult. Anshu felt like her entire world had collapsed. Aftab and Priya's betrayal left her with nothing but deep pain and confusion. Back in India, Anshu went through a period of great turmoil. She sought help from various people, Shabana, her father, and her aunt, but no one came to her aid. She wanted to end her life but couldn't bring herself to do it because of her children's innocent faces. For a month, she was in a state of depression and despair. During this time, she thought about her children's future and realized that she could not allow her daughter to suffer the same way she had. She needed to gather her strength, stand on her own feet, and build a better life for her children. Anshu's determination was reignited. She decided to give her children everything she had been deprived of. With her father's help, she opened a small eatery below their house. She enrolled Tabanish in school and kept her son with her at the eatery. She hired a middle-aged woman to help at the eatery. After a month of hard work, the eatery was running well enough to hire a Nepali boy as an additional worker and enroll her son in a daycare. Anshu worked tirelessly from 7 in the morning until 1 in the night. At 28, her whole life lay ahead of her. She decided to take revenge on Aftab and pursue a career in law. The desire for revenge fueled her determination, and she enrolled in an evening law college. Anshu worked at the eatery and studied late into the night. The thoughts of revenge and securing a bright future for her children drove her like a train on its tracks. Within 3 years, she earned a first-class degree in law. She was thrilled. The eatery continued to do well, and she expanded the staff as needed. She started practicing law in court, and her reputation as one of the top lawyers in the city grew. Anshu established an organization to provide free legal aid to distressed women. Her efforts gained media attention, and her respect in society increased. Mentally, she became strong enough that the desire for revenge against Aftab and Priya faded away. She now had wealth, fame, respect, a happy family with her 2 children, and most importantly, mental peace.
Life's toughest moments test our strength and resilience. What would you do in this situation? Share your thoughts in the comments. If this story moved you, don't forget to like the video, share it with others, and subscribe to our channel. Turn on notifications so you never miss an inspiring story. Every story we tell sheds light on real struggles and real emotions, help us spread awareness. Stay strong, stay aware, and we'll see you in the next one.